Hello, welcome to the Ferra Film Podcast. Today we have Zander and Elliot.
Hello, thank you for having us.
You want to introduce yourself just in case people don't know you?
Sure, so I am Zander Weaver and Elliot Weaver is here too. We are brothers and we are UK-based film directors. And we have just produced and directed our first feature film called Cosmos, which has just been released November 2019 and is available worldwide for people to check out on demand and on Blu-ray and all sorts of things. But yeah, we had a bit of a journey with the film. It was a no-budget movie, so we made it in a bit of an unorthodox way, and there's a big old story to tell behind that.
No, yeah, definitely. I just actually bought the DVD right now, so.
Ah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Talking about
That's
Cosmos, it's just honestly like it's so inspiring to me. Like for the film, honestly, like you guys just did like zero budget, and you face many challenges on the road. You want to talk a little about that?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, thank you very much. It's interesting, well, it's amazing for us actually, because we were inspired by other filmmakers to make Cosmos the way we did, by big name filmmakers like Robert Rodriguez and Gareth Edwards, but also just by the indie film community, seeing how other filmmakers were taking control of their filmmaking destiny, really. So to think that we have followed their influence and their inspiration, and now we've made Cosmos and we're paying that inspiration forward, is sort of the highest form of success for us, really, because people will take what they like from the film. Some people will like it, some people won't, but hopefully all filmmakers who see it will be able to think, hey, you know, I've got a camera, I've got some lights, I've got a great idea in my mind, and if I commit to it and type it up and get some friends together, then maybe I can make a movie. And that's basically what we do. We're trying to set up a project, Moss, which was a much more ambitious film called Encounter. And really, reasonably, we faced some hurdles with that film because of our age and our lack of experience in big budget filmmaking. I mean, in big for our ages. And so what we had to do was put that larger project Encounter on the shelf, go back to the drawing board and write a much simpler film that we could achieve together, that we could try and gain support for future projects. So that's what, small cast, hopefully a high concept film that keeps people engaged from start to finish. And then we just set about making it together and fulfilling every role or as many roles on the crew as we could, just to demonstrate what we were capable of.
A madness film, like a bunch of shots and dolly angles that you got, and I saw behind the scene was, by the way, guys, go check it out. It's of the making behind the scene, and just like see a bunch of DIY tricks that you did for the film, like the rig and the everything mostly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Yeah, again, thank you. It was a case of going, okay, we need a handheld rig for this camera because it's so small. Instead of turning to Amazon and looking to buy one, we just thought, hey, you know, in the spirit of making this film, almost like a homemade movie, let's make one. So Zander got some piping and some wood from the hardware store and just made it to our own needs, really, our own specifications, and we did a lot of stuff like that. So,
well, we always say that, you know, some of the greatest films ever made were shot on wooden tripods. You know, like that. It shouldn't really matter what equipment you're using if you've got a good story, and I guess if you have an idea about how you want to use it, there should be no limit. So we hope that when filmmakers check out Cosmos, they walk away from it with that idea. Like Elliot said, they may not enjoy the story. I don't know whether it would be their thing or not. That's obviously very subjective. But hopefully just the process of making it and how we just decided to grab what we had and go for it, hopefully that will excite and inspire others to give it a go as well.
No, yeah, honestly, you guys definitely inspire me, honestly. Like, it just wants me to go run out and just make a film right now.
that's it.
Zach, we want to see it. What's your next movie?
I'm actually making a horror film.
Oh,
sweet.
Brilliant. We're wimps when it comes to horror, so you'll have to send it to us and we'll watch it through our hands over our eyes.
Yeah, hide behind the sofa.
No, definitely. It's basically like this story where a guy has to wash the house overnight and supernatural things happen throughout the night. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So it's in the works right now. I'm gonna wrap it up today with editing.
Oh wow!
Brilliant.
So you shot it?
Yeah, I shot it. It took like
Oh.
5 days to shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long is it?
It's 11:29 minutes.
Oh, amazing. That's a really good length.
Amazing, like it took like 5 years for you guys to make your film. Like that's crazy.
That's our own fault though, because because the way we wanted to do it, being this no budget route where we kind of on that first project Encounter, so frustrated with we had this idea that we thought was great and actually that other people thought was worth supporting, and we got a crew together, and when we spoke to the people to raise finance for the budget, their concerns were legitimate, but we just got so frustrated that basically our passion for filmmaking was being blocked by the business side of it, really, that when it came to Cosmos, I think we went so extreme that we just didn't want to wait to ask permission for anybody. We didn't want to do anything that would make us dependent. So the film took a long time because we basically took everything under our own control. I'm not sure I'd make a film like that again. And I think if I was to encourage, filmmakers such as yourself and other filmmakers, I would say, try and maybe raise some money on Kickstarter or get a group of friends around you and share the load a little bit. But yeah, it
is possible though.
It is possible to do it.
There are lots of filmmakers out there who contact us, say, I'm on my own. I don't have any friends who like making movies or anything, and hearing about Cosmos has really excited me because
it is doable.
Because it's shown me that I can go and make a film on my own, and also the difference between a short film and a feature film is the workload. So hopefully people will just
get their cameras and get going.
Do you have any advice for future filmmakers out there, to anyone out here that's listening to this podcast?
I think my biggest piece of advice, and it's not necessarily unique advice. I think people may have heard it elsewhere. But it's that idea that don't let your equipment kind of define you as a storyteller. Don't make the mistake of believing that because you don't have this camera or those lights or that tripod or slider or whatever, that you can't make a good movie. Because really, good movies are defined by the stories that people tell and how they choose to tell them. And sometimes creative restrictions, can be actually really quite inspiring for creativity. You can be pushed to find a creative solution that in the end might work out better than if you could have done anything that you wanted. So yeah, I think my piece of advice for people maybe who are just beginning to think, I fancy trying to make a film, is don't go online and read a load of things that say you need this camera or that camera. At the very least, you've probably got a camera on your phone. You could whip out an iPhone and go and make a movie. Like when we were younger, we didn't have that option, and it would have been amazing. You can even edit on your phone and everything.
Yeah, you can upload to YouTube and all sorts.
Yeah, I think the potential is out there, and I think filmmaking has been democratized completely now. So anyone who wants to do it should just give it a go.
Absolutely. My advice would be make sure you're doing something you love, because the process, as Zachary, the process takes a lot of time and you have to put a lot of effort into it. And if in the end, or if when you're sitting in the edit going, I'm not really sure I like this idea, I kind of thought I'd do it because I thought people would think I was cool, or people would like that genre because it's popular, but it's not really me. There's so much work involved, even on short films or music videos or whatever you're doing, that you really want to make sure it's something you love, so that when it gets hard and the hours are long, up late at night, kind of holding your head in your hands, that you're there going, but I still love the story I'm telling. Yeah, that would be my advice.
Pocket camera, 4K camera.
Oh, wow, amazing. Brilliant. How is it? We've not used that. Is it good? Are you enjoying it?
It's good. I have the Sigma 18x35 lens, so it's kind of like, a cinematic.
That's cool, man. I'd love to give that a go.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
But yeah, Cosmos, for the listeners if they don't know, Cosmos was shot on the original Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which is just standard HD. And at the time when we were making Cosmos, it was the most affordable kind of cinema grade camera that we could find, and it really served us well. Again, in keeping with the whole ethos of not letting gear define you, we just thought other filmmakers were somewhat overlooking this camera for kind of more expensive or higher resolution cameras, and actually it's a great little camera. So to hear that you've got the 4K, that's really cool. I hear great things about the new versions of the Pocket cameras, so hopefully it will serve you well.
No, definitely. So who inspired you mostly, as a filmmaker?
Well, A lot of directors, actually. As already mentioned, sort of for the indie rebel spirit, you've obviously got directors like Rodriguez with El Mariachi and Gareth Edwards with Monsters, and they really inspired us to be resourceful and get out there and get on with it with our own eye to the viewfinder, really. And then from a storytelling point of view, we fell in love with movies when we were really young, when we were kids. So we were obviously watching a certain type of movie, and there was a lot of Spielberg in there, films like E.T. and Back to the Future. A lot of Amblin movies, Hook, and we also loved Disney as well. And so we have never really lost that love for that magical story of ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances. But then growing up, we're inspired by Ridley Scott and Christopher Nolan and J.J. Abrams and James Cameron. Yeah, James Cameron's often sort of forgotten, but he's such a, in these sort of conversations, because he only makes a film like once every 10 years, but he
blows out of the water.
Yeah, he literally changes the game every time he does. So
no, definitely, yeah.
I guess more sort of commercial movie makers, sort of mainstream movie makers, but sometimes if you say you like commercial movies, people look at you like you've said a dirty word, but actually when it's done really well, and it is done really well on occasion, to us, there's nothing like grabbing a box of popcorn and going to the movies and seeing something spectacular. I mean, we recently have been and saw 1917 at a really big cinema screen, and it absolutely, blew us away. Like, it was incredible, and nothing really beats that big screen experience. So there you go. Lots of big movie makers, I guess.
Spielberg's my number one, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Amazing! So
Spielberg is our number one. We every time, whenever we're going through a patch where we're feeling a bit exhausted or a bit with film production or whatever, wherever we are creatively, we stick on a Spielberg movie. It's like being topped up. You kind of watching the master at work. You kind of go, wow, look at that. That's there's a lot to be learned from just watching his movies about how he shoots things and how they're lit and everything. You can kind of mute a Spielberg movie, have no sound on it, and still get a really good understanding of what's happening in the story. So, yeah, he's a huge influence.
Why do you like Spielberg? What about him?
I just like his work and how he tells the story. Honestly, that's what, because like I'd seen like a lot of his films, and I don't know, just like a big. He's the one that actually got me into filmmaking.
Yeah,
amazing.
Well, likewise.
If you had to pick one Spielberg film as your favourite, what would it be?
Jurassic World, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good choice.
Absolutely. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it.
All right, guys, let's use hashtag Steven Spielberg to go see Cosmo.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? If maybe one day, who knows? Anything can happen.
So, what's advice that you have for future filmmakers, like getting your work out there?
For getting your work out there, that's a great question, because again, we've fallen for this in the past, where you work so long on making something that when you're done with it, you're kind of so relieved that it's done that you almost jump onto the very next project. You go like, okay, what am I going to do next? But you've worked so hard for this very moment to release it. So, I mean, I don't know how successful we've been at getting Cosmos out there. It's something we're still working on. But I guess with short films, get it up online, get it on Facebook, get it on Vimeo, get it on YouTube, and and just spread the word, and maybe reach out to some fellow fans of the genre of your movie and see if they'll be interested in watching it, and if they are, can they leave you a comment or some feedback, or maybe get it on a Reddit post or a Reddit thread. Or I guess you just have to be really. I mean, we're no masters at this. Like the internet, we find it hard to crack. Like it, sometimes you see people whose work goes viral, and you go, how did they manage that? I don't know. But and when it comes to if you've got feature films, then what we did with Cosmos to get Cosmos distributed, we just put together like an approach email where we put some documentation together with like a poster and the trailer, and we actually included that making of video as well to give the people we were sending it to some idea of how the film had been made. And we just got online and found some email addresses, used IMDb as well, and just reached out to some of these distributors and basically offered them the chance to watch the film in the possibility that they might want to represent it. And we did that for a couple of weeks and honed in on a couple of options. And We didn't go the sales agent route. Any indie filmmakers out there who have got feature films, coming to completion and are contemplating, do I go with a sales agent or do I do self-distribution? Cosmos was sort of a hybrid of the two. We didn't have a sales agent represent us, so we did do most of that. Well, we did do all of that negotiation as editor, but then we secured a distributor that then did all that legwork of getting it out there. So it's a bit of a minefield, really. It's a whole topic of its own that indie filmmakers kind of have to learn as well in order to see their work out there.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. You can do a lot yourself these days. But yeah, I think also a key thing is to look at your film, whether it's a short or a feature or whatever, and just try and find the kind of unique angle. Like there's so much, it's such a busy landscape out there. There are so many films, there's so many forms of entertainment and things that are kind of crying out for people's attention that I think it's really important to look at your movie and go, what about this is special? How can I kind of leverage that and use it to get it in front of people? So, yeah, if you can think of, for example, with Cosmos, it's a film about astronomy, and those don't come along every day. So one thing we're doing is we're trying to target the astronomy community and see if they're interested in it and they're really enjoying it. It's also a very kind of Amblin type Spielbergian inspired film. So we're trying to get in touch with people who like those kind of movies and trying to find websites who kind of celebrate that era of cinema. But it's also the nature of how the film was made, being a no-budget film, is also, like, as you've said, is quite exciting to other filmmakers. So a big part of our marketing is actually just engaging with the filmmaking community as well and sharing our advice and sharing, answering any questions that people may have, because ultimately, it's just amazing to be able to grow a community around the film of other like-minded creatives, because no one can really appreciate what it's like to make a movie more than another filmmaker.
I do agree with that. That actually is wicked helpful for me because I'm trying to promote myself for my films, and I'm still working on it, so it does help me too, honestly.
Okay,
so wait, an ongoing process.
No, yeah, it is. What's the process of because I have to do this route too, of doing everything yourself with the editing, filming?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's hard work, but it's very rewarding. On Cosmos, again, Xander and I are lucky because there's two of us. We work together really well, so we would split up the responsibilities. Sometimes I'd be tweaking the lights and setting up the lighting, and Xander would have the camera going, okay, that looks good. This is the focus, and then I might set up the sound recorder and get the mic in the right position, and then Xander would talk to the actors and rehearse. So we could distribute the responsibilities between us, which is a lot obviously easier if you've got two people than one. But again, if you maybe rally a few friends around you, help you as well. We had a few helping hands, which we were very grateful of and enabled us to do some interesting things. But I guess the process, if you are doing it on your own or with a limited crew, it's just about pacing yourself, really, because it is hard work. And
I'd say
be fair to yourself and give yourself time. What were you going to say?
Exactly that. I was just going to say, don't beat yourself up about your schedule, and if you're falling behind, which you probably will, just cut yourself some slack, really. But there's also something quite liberating about doing everything yourself, because you can just get on with it. You don't have to, you don't have to kind of communicate it to other people. You don't have to kind of rally a team and get everyone moving quickly to stay on schedule. You can kind of just pick up the camera, tell your actors what you want, stand there, you tweak the light, and you get on with it, which is also great in itself, really.
Our rule that we sort of learnt on Cosmos was, however long you think something's going to take, triple it. So if you think a shot's going to take 20 minutes, it will probably take an hour. If you think you're going to get, a scene done in a day, it will probably take about 2 days or 3 days to do. You might find yourself going like, wow, this is, because you don't have so many people around you being able to move the sort of the machine of filmmaking quickly. You have to do everything yourself. You have to move the tripod. You have to move the lights. You have to set the camera up, so things take longer. That's what we learned. And I think even if we were moving forwards on our next film and we had more support, we would in our minds be going, okay, whatever we think it's going to take, let's triple it in our mind.
First, I'd like to say congrats, honestly, about the premiere in the USA. Like that's just
Thank you.
amazing, honestly.
It was an incredible thing for us, to go. We shot this film in like a garage in our home city, and then to fly over to the US, to fly over to Hollywood and to premiere this film in Hollywood. It was a dream come true, really, and we got the whole team over there. I say the whole team, but it's 6 people, and we just had this really incredible, rewarding experience. It was a moment for us all to step back and just kind of acknowledge like the journey and how long it had taken to make this movie, and it was a lovely memory for us all, I think. Yeah, and then the film got released, and it's being watched all around the world. It's incredible. It's a dream come true. Sounds cheesy, but it's true.
So you want to talk about the writing process and the storyboard process? Now you storyboard the whole entire film, right?
We did, yeah. Our logic there was that, and we wanted it to have a certain kind of production value to it, that we thought it was best to storyboard the whole film, as hard as that was for us, so that when the time came and we were running around and we were tweaking the lights and setting up the sound equipment and directing the actors and putting the props in place and everything, that we knew that we could rely on this blueprint for the movie. Some people can turn up on location and just go, all right, we're going to grab this shot and that shot. But for where we are at our stage in our kind of filmmaking career, we prefer to just have that planned. We sit at home, put some music on, get creative and do some sketches. And then when you're on location, if you get that stuff, you know that you're safe, you know that it's going to cut together. And if other opportunities present themselves and new ideas come up, or someone says, well, how about we get that shot? You can just pick it up and you can go with it because you've got that confidence to know that it's all going to work in the edit. So that really, for me, those storyboards were a huge component that helped make Cosmos feel a bit bigger budget than it was. I don't think it feels like a no budget movie. Hopefully other people feel that way too.
Storyboard, honestly, like it gets your image across that you want to do, because I storyboard my whole entire film. Well, it's like only 11 minutes and 29 seconds, but still I want to storyboard everything for it, which I normally do for every project.
Yeah, brilliant. I think it's the way to go. I think, like you said, it helps communicate your ideas, doesn't it, to everybody? Like the actors, you can go, this is the shot we're looking at.
Well, in a way, you kind of get to make your film before you're making it. You get to look at it and go, yeah, I think that'll work.
Yeah.
Rather than carrying all those ideas around in your head and it's sort of like a cloud of shots, but nothing's really in order and you're trying to keep everything in order in your mind. As soon as you get it down on paper, then you can sort of step back from it and look at it and go, I think that works.
So, what is your best moment, like behind the scenes of Cosmo?
Best behind the scenes moment, I guess, would probably be at the end when we completed it. Do you think it was?
Yeah.
I mean, there were several actually.
Yeah. Several
are you going to talk about the comment thing?
Yeah, I'd say there are 2. Right. There are one time we were filming in this forest where we shot our exteriors, and our batteries ran out, and the smoke machine wasn't working. Everything was going wrong. So we decided to call it there. It was about 3:00 in the morning, but we hadn't got everything we needed, and we were all a bit disappointed. And we went back to the car and put all the gear away. And as we stepped out from underneath the forest kind of canopy almost, we looked up and there was just an incredible crystal clear night sky, and the stars were out in full brightness, and it just looked amazing. And we had one of the actors there with us. We were just doing some shots with him, and he's playing an astronomer in the film, and this was this moment for him. It was like the moment suddenly it all made sense. He looked up and he couldn't believe the beauty of the moment, really. And for those who've seen the film, there's an important element of the movie is that one of the characters worked on a satellite, and we watched this satellite fly over in the film. And right at that moment, when we were out there with this actor, this satellite flew across the sky, and he couldn't believe it. He was like, that's just like the film, it's a satellite. So it was this real kind of serendipitous moment, really, where we got to share. We were living the movie.
We were living the movie.
You're in the movie.
The other moment was towards the end of the filming, basically the last night of filming. There was a meteor shower above us. We were on a sports field, filming the finale of the movie, and we got the last shot of the night. and we turned all the lights off. We knew this meteor shower was supposed to be happening above us, but none of us had really seen anything because we'd been working and we were trying to get everything we needed, in the can, as it were. And then we just went, right, we're done. Let's see if we can see anything. And we were all looking up. And some people was like, oh, I saw something. And I was like, oh, I missed it, And someone else was like, oh, I think I saw something. And everyone else was like, oh, I didn't see it, I missed it. People were catching glimpses, but none of us were really seeing anything as a group. And then all of a sudden, this one meteor seemed larger than... It's the largest I've ever seen, actually. It just streaked across the sky, and it was like this kind of green light that sort of just... It was like somebody had highlighted across the sky. And we all just went like, wow, that's amazing. We were all hopping around.
We all erupted. But it was really cool because that meteor shower, you'll know this, Zach, from the film. Like, one of the characters talks about when he was younger, he went out and he looked at the Perseid meteor shower with his dad, and that inspired him to get into astronomy. Well, this meteor shower was the Perseid meteor shower, so it was this really cool, this really cool alignment of like movie and real life, So that was a lovely moment.
Oh wow, that's awesome, actually.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah. So, what's your advice about like finding the right actors for like future like filmmakers out there?
That's another very good question, because again, as you all know, even who you team up with makes a big difference. And my advice would just be take the time and find people who, there will be lots of people likely who want to be attached to your project and are really great actors and really willing and really giving and creative, but they might just not be right for your movie. And what we did, as part of our selection process, we took 1 year to find the 3 actors that we were looking for. What we did was we gave them a little speech from the film, a monologue that was a scene, and we asked them to do a self-tape, video themselves saying that monologue. We sent them a piece of music as well from another film, another soundtrack, just on YouTube, but a piece of music that we felt summed up the sentiment of Cosmos. And we just said, listen to this music and record yourself saying this monologue how you think it should be said. And basically that allowed us to watch that video, that self-tape, and immediately gauge whether their instincts were right for Cosmos, whether they were instinctively leaning in the direction of the way we wanted that monologue and therefore Cosmos to be. And it allowed us to really quickly zero in on people who had kind of the sentiment and sense of wonder that we wanted to achieve with Cosmos. So I guess there are similar ways of doing that for whatever film you're trying to create. If you're trying to create a horror film, then maybe, ask people to listen to some scary music and film themselves as if they're listening to someone moving around outside their bedroom or something, and you'll just be able to quickly gauge whether they're giving it too much or they're not giving it enough, or whether they understand the kind of movie you're looking to make.
Yeah, that music really, we obviously gave them a little bit of context to the scene and everything, but the music really helped give them a sense for the tone and the feel of that scene. So it was a really valuable resource, actually, a really valuable...
I'd do it again.
Yeah, it's a really cool way of assessing, if people are on the right kind of track. So yeah, it was a long process, but it was really important for us to find the right people because of the nature of how we were going to make the movie. We needed people who were going to be passionate and have the kind of patience with the project, really, and we were very lucky to find them.
That's amazing, honestly. Like I kind of do that. Well, I kind of do that way where I cast direct. Like I feel like it's like more comfortable like in their home instead of like me writing down like a piece of paper and be like,
yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like
that makes sense.
Like in their home, they're like the most comfortable instead of like going to a place and me washing the Mac.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Yeah, it's the good way of seeing how they are when they're most natural and most comfortable.
No, definitely, yeah. Now, what is your favorite movie?
Ooh, well, that's difficult. I mean, we've got many, many favourite films, but if I had to pick one, yeah, I'm going to say E.T. I love E.T.
Yes.
Because to me it just means so much. It's a movie I fell in love with as a kid, and it's Spielberg, and it just kind of encapsulates everything I love about cinema: the magic, the wonder, the love, It's great. I love all kinds of movies. I mean, I'm terrible with horror, but I still enjoy horror. I'm very scared, but I still enjoy it. And, every movie has its place. You have important kind of movies with a message. You have historical stills. But, for me, the movie that kind of touches me the most and one that I return to time and time again is probably E.T.
I'm the same. E.T.
Yeah, E.T.'s a good movie, honestly. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's just nice.
It's full of heart.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's beautiful. What about you? What's your favourite film? Would it be Jurassic Park?
Yeah, Jurassic Park, honestly.
Yeah, good. That is a good call.
Yeah.
Such a great film.
Honestly, it is. I remember as a little kid just being like, oh my god, this dinosaurs.
Yeah. So good. I actually remember the first time I saw Jurassic Park as well, and I didn't know what to make of it. When you're a kid, you're like, it's a dinosaur. Like,
You want to be a filmmaker for the rest of your your whole entire life, mostly?
Yeah, pretty much. When we made our first film when I was nearly 5, and we made a little movie about our toys coming to life. It was before Toy Story came out. But after that we were hooked. We shot this little film with our dad, and as we grew up through school, we just carried on making shorts with our friends and music videos for friends' bands, and we did kind of video essays and documentaries instead of written ones for high school work and things like that. Mm-hmm. And so when we left school, it was just natural for us to want to pursue that really and take it more seriously professionally. So this is where we find ourselves after working hard all those years. We've finally made a feature film, and who knows what comes next, really. Quite exciting.
No, definitely. That's the same for me. I was say when my dad came home with a camera, I was like a little kid, running around recording things, just recording things. I think I made a couple of short films with my brother, but I don't know where they are.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
No, definitely.
So much fun.
This is the very last question for you guys, because I know you guys gotta go soon. So,
yeah, that's fine. Don't worry.
What are your plans for your future, if you can say anything?
Plans for the future? Well, again, it's a bit open at the moment. We're developing some ideas for what we might do next. We're kind of honing in on stories and some genres that we might like to explore next, and we're developing characters and stuff. We actually have a ghost film that we're thinking of exploring a little bit, which is different to Cosmos again. We have a sci-fi, sort of a sci-fi adventure film. There's also the possibility of picking up Encounter, that initial project that we tried to develop all those years ago. We're just waiting to see sort of what Cosmos brings and make sure Cosmos has a fair chance in the sun, really, because particularly the actors gave so much, so kind, so generous, and we don't want to go well, it's done now, thanks guys. We want to make sure that they get what they want from it as well, and everyone gets a chance to see it. And in the meantime, we're also developing a few other things, but we're hoping, whatever that might be, that we can step up a little bit, move up the ladder a little bit, maybe make something with a bit of a team and maybe a bit of financial backup, make our next film that hopefully people will enjoy.
Coming next, whatever it is, honestly.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
That means
likewise, we can't wait to see your short. Coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. Actually, it's coming out in February.
Oh, amazing. That's long to wait. We can wait that long.
Have you got a release date?
I think it's either the 6th or the 19th. I'm kind of playing out the date right now for it. Okay. It's going to be somewhere. I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere around there. Because the film is done. I'm just, I'm going to record a BTS documentary of the film. All the behind the scenes of it. So I'm just trying to edit it all together.
Amazing.
Can't wait to see it, man. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, definitely. I'll sign it 2-way, guys.
Thank you.
Has it got a name? Can you announce the name?
Yeah, it's actually Lost House.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice. Oh, it sounds spooky.
Yeah, definitely. I'm honestly wicked proud of this project. Honestly, this is the hardest project I ever worked on throughout my short film. Honestly,
congratulations for getting this far and for making it happen. Really,
that's the main thing. If you're proud of it, then you've won. You've succeeded. You've won. So well done and congratulations.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for coming on. That'll be it. Thank you for coming on, and thank you guys for listening. That'll be it for the Ferra Film Podcast.
Thanks for having us, Zach, and thanks for all your support for Cosmos.